News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, Senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, defies the state government's ban on public gatherings as she holds Salah celebrations with her supporters. Kogi state government denies claims by Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan over her safety concerns, describes allegations as baseless. Edo State chapter of the All Progressives Congress alleges plot to incite violence in the state ahead of the judgment of the State Election Petition Tribunal. And it's an anxious wait for world leaders as details of U.S. President Donald Trump's April 2nd tariffs remain largely unknown.
And on business, Central Bank records strongest net foreign reserves in over 3 years as it reaches $23.1 billion.
On sports news tonight, Manchester City's Erling Haaland will be out of action for up to 7 weeks after suffering an ankle injury.
And from the nation's capital, Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar assures troops in the northwest that their welfare remains top priority for the government.
We begin from Kogi State, where the senator representing Kogi Central in the 10th Assembly, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, has received a rousing welcome from her supporters despite a ban on rallies and processions and the imposition of a curfew by the chairman of Kogi local government. Addressing a crowd of supporters at her residence in the Hima of Kogi local government area, Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan reaffirmed her commitments to her people and dismissed attempts to intimidate her. The senator adds that nobody can stop her from coming home as she remains a daughter of the soil.
Supporters from the 5 local government areas of Kogi Central converge on Ihima, Kogi local government area, to welcome the embattled Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, who is visiting the state in spite of a ban on political rallies and restriction of movement. Amid music and dancing, Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan stuns the waiting crowd as she arrives dramatically in a white helicopter alongside her husband. The cheering supporters carrying placards and chanting solidarity songs defied police warnings and a curfew imposed by the chairman of the Kogi local government area, Mr. Amoka Monday, ahead of her homecoming. The embattled senator addresses the gathering, insisting that she has every right to visit her hometown to celebrate the Salah with her constituents.
We read on the news that rallies, gatherings will not be allowed, that roads will be blocked, convoys leading into the states will not be allowed. I knew that we were the targets. But then I said, this is not political season, this is not campaign time. We are not having a rally. This is just me, the senator representing Kogi Central, coming down to have people to celebrate this festive time, the Salah, with you. And there is nothing wrong in that. I am breaking no law.
Reasons for her conflict with the leadership of the Senate is brought to the front burner.
On the 30th of January, this year, on the 30th of January 2025, there was the groundbreaking ceremony of the 5 mini LNGs in Ajakuta. That project angered him, and I'm saying it on camera. He got very angry, and he told a number of people in the cabinet, question them, how come that project found its way here? And he said, in his words, he said, how can such resources thus from the Niger Delta be moved to the north? That he will stop it. And I will prove to you what name of local content. Because he said, ever since he made me as the chairperson of local content, I have used that office to promote the North. That was what he said.
The Kogi senator had previously accused the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, and former Governor Yahaya Bello of orchestrating security threats against her, maintaining that she is a victim of political persecution.
Meanwhile, Kogi State government says Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan will be queried by security agencies for her action to host a rally against the directive of the state government armed with intelligence to avert violence in some local governments in the state. Reacting to the allegations of the senator at the rally, which he described as baseless, the State Commissioner for Information, Mr. Kingsley Fanwo, explains that Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan's actions are politically driven to create violence in the state, accusing her of blatant disregard for the rule of law. He was speaking on our political program, Politics Today.
She has committed the offense of having a procession when the state government, acting on credible intelligence, directed that there should be no procession. She also addressed a rally. She will call it homecoming to greet her people about Salah. Where did they talk about Salah there? All her address were political, to incite the people against constituted authorities at the federal level and at the state level, to create panic and tension and ensure that there is violence. That was just what happened today. So that's the clear violation of the statement and the directive of the state government. When you talk about the freedom of association has limitations. When your association is going to constitute danger and it is going to affect the rights and freedom of others, then such an association cannot be defended. And now that we are seeing where some of those threats are coming from our intelligence reports show that there was going to be a major crisis as a result of some activities of unscrupulous personalities. And for her to come to the state and try to incite the people against the Senate President, against the former governor of the state, against the current governor of the state, we are leaving the whole thing to the security agencies that have been given the mandate to enforce it. I'm very sure they will review it and take the necessary actions. She should be asked a lot of questions about all her incitement, all her lies, all her character assassination, and all her attempt to ensure that Kogi was in flames today.
Meanwhile, ahead of the commencement of the recall process against the senator representing Kogi Central, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, the People's Democratic Party Youth Alliance for Good Governance is asking the leadership of the National Assembly to impose sanctions on erring lawmakers in order to maintain the sanctity of the legislature. Addressing a news conference in Abuja, the national coordinator of the group, Ikemba Ikoku, says the continuous deadlock and political maneuvering in the National Assembly amounts to a betrayal of democracy. The leader of the group explains that lawmakers are elected to serve the people and not to engage in endless power struggles while critical national issues remain unattended to.
Elected officials are accountable to the people, and when they engage in misconduct, incompetence, or ethical behavior, they must be held responsible. The recall moves against Senator Ned Imasuen and the suspension of Senator Natasha Akpoti highlight the urgent need for Nigerians to take action against lawmakers who abuse their mandate. Public office is a privilege, not a license for impunity. According to Order 5, Sub 1H of Senate Standing Rules, Orders as amended, which states, every senator shall ensure that his representation in the Senate is to the benefit of his constituents and not for personal aggrandizement. Across the world, democratic nations upheld strict accountability measures. Nigerians must do the same. Misconduct in the National Assembly delays critical legislation, which represents constituents, and damage national credibility. When senators violate rules or fail in their duties, they must face consequences. If Nigerians tolerate bad governance today, it sets a dangerous precedent, a precedent that for no reason is a more or less lawlessness.
Let's now talk about the political situation in Edo State and ahead of the Edo Governorship Election Petition Tribunal judgment. The All Progressives Congress in the state is raising an alarm over an alleged plot by opposition parties to incite violence there. Addressing a news conference in Abuja, the chairman of the party in Edo State, Jared Tenebe, says information available to him reveals that the recent killing of some suspected kidnappers in Uromi is part of the plan to cause chaos. Mr. Tenebe adds that the criticism of Governor Monday Okpewolo over his trip to Kano State to condole with victims' families further exposes the involvement of opposition parties in the Uromi tragedy.
Their sinister objective is clear. They want to force President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to declare a state of emergency in Edo State because they have no confidence in securing victory at the Edo Election Petition Tribunal. In their desperation, they have resorted to acts of sabotage, hoping to manipulate public perception and judicial settlement in their favor. As part of their plan, they have enlisted disbanded members of the Edo State Security Network to orchestrate acts of violence, as seen in Uromi, Eastern Northeast Local Government area. Their aim was firstly implicate Edo State government in their disruption, creating a narrative that foster chaos and sympathy for their failed cause. They are also exploiting the composition of the tribunal, where 2 of the 3 judges are from the north, hoping to sway their ruling through deceit and unrest.
2 weeks after the declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State, public debate continues to intensify, with the latest wave of criticism coming from a pro-Fubara group led by Nigeria's former ambassador to the Netherlands, Oji Ngofa. Mr. Ngofa describes President Bola Tinubu's decision as a betrayal of his oath of office, arguing that the move undermines democratic governance in the state. But despite these criticisms, the appointed administrator, retired Vice Admiral Ibokete Ibas, has continued to discharge his duties as he embarked on an inspection of 2 major projects in Rivers State.
Despite the rains, the administrator of Rivers State, Ibokete Ibas, is carrying out an inspection of projects in Obiakpo local government area. Accompanied by the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Works, the administrator begins with an assessment of the 12.5-kilometer Trans-Kalabari Road initiated by the Similalaye Fubara administration, which includes 4 river crossing bridges to connect the 3 Kalabari-speaking local government areas to Port Harcourt. Next on his itinerary is an inspection of the permanent secretary's quarters, where he highlights the significance of both projects in fostering development.
The accommodation will be delivered on time so that those who require them will be able to settle down to do their work. And then we're also very much aware of the very difficult and challenging terrain around here in terms of communicating between communities. This project, when completed, I think will boost the socio-economic life of the state and the nation as a whole.
However, the administrator's presence in the state remains a subject of intense debate for the Supreme Council for SIM, a pro-Fubara group led by former Nigerian ambassador to the Netherlands.
The Nigerian Constitution does not empower the president to remove an elected governor, deputy governor, or state assembly under any circumstances. The procedure for removing a governor is clearly outlined in Section 188 of the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended.
The group dismisses the justification of pipeline vandalism cited by the president as one of the reasons for the declaration of emergency rule.
We all know that the security of national infrastructure falls squarely under the responsibilities of federal security agencies and privately contracted security firms. If this issue had to do with breach of security in whatever form, the question that should naturally be asked is who controls the police, the military,
While the debate over the emergency rule continues, some civil society organizations are asking for the immediate formation of Reconciliation Committee, as recommended by the National Assembly, to reinstate elected officials in Rivers State.
In part two, after the break, Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar assures troops in the Northwest that their welfare remains top priority for government. Please stay with us.
Alcoholic and non-alcoholic flavors. Teaser's cocktail drink. Masters of fun.
True strength. What defines it? The brilliance of a player? Or when a team comes together to win? A solo beat? Or the rhythm of many? The flair of one dancer, or the art of a troupe. One distinct voice, or the beauty of the symphony. At FCMB Group, we build ecosystems, empower communities, and create the future. Because we believe it's not just one, but the power of the group that delivers the future we all desire. FCMB, the power of the group.
Life is full of doubts. But with InDrive, you can set a price for your ride. Choose a top-rated driver and fill your life with pleasures and relaxation during the ride. InDrive, choose a fair price for your ride. Because life is more than daily doubts.
Barakadi Salah to our Muslim brothers and sisters nationwide. Salah is a time of celebration and gratitude, a time when family and friends share in Allah's blessings and enjoy nourishing meals together. At Erisco Foods, we are delighted to be part of this great occasion as one united family with our proudly Nigerian products, Erisco tomato paste, Rijuku tomato paste, and Najuku tomato mix that cater to the well-being of all Nigerians as the taste of Nigeria. As we celebrate this Ramadan, we deeply appreciate our esteemed customers, distributors, and partners. May your homes be filled with blessings, your tables with delicious meals, your hearts with happiness. Cook right and eat right. And it's not just about the healthy food on the table, but also the love around it. From all of us at Erisco Foods, Ramadan Kareem.
Some say learning is fun, but as a mom, I see how demanding it can be for my child. That's why I ensure he starts every day with a cup of Bonvita. Bonvita, prepare them to win every day.
Welcome back. If you have just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, defies the state government's ban on public gatherings as she holds Salah celebrations with her supporters. Kogi state government denies claims by Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan over plans to eliminate her, describes allegations as baseless. Edo State chapter of the All Progressives Congress alleges plot to incite violence in the state ahead of the judgment of the State Election Petition Tribunal. And it's an anxious wait for world leaders as details of U.S. President Donald Trump's April 2nd tariffs remain largely unknown. Let's head to the nation's capital now, and Victoria Lonjon is standing by to give us the very latest from our Abuja studios. Hello, Victoria. Over to you.
Thank you, Ayo. The Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, is assuring troops in the northwest of the country that their welfare and well-being remains his top priority. Air Marshal Abubakar disclosed this in Katsina during the Eid al-Fitr luncheon with officers and men of Operation Fasanyama Sector 2, held at the sports complex of the 213 operating base of the Nigerian Air Force.
In line with the tradition of the military, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, hosts officers and men of Operation Fasanyama Sector 2 to a luncheon in Katsina State.
Our mandate remains to restore.
At the occasion, the Chief of Air Staff, represented by the Air Officer commanding Special Operations Command, highlights the successes of the Nigerian Air Force in a fight against insurgency as he assures the troops of improved welfare.
Our mandate remains to restore normalcy to the region, and we must remain undeterred until total victory is achieved. Let me at this moment reassure you that your welfare and well-being remain a top priority for me, and I'm committed to providing you with necessary equipment, training, and support to achieve more excellence in your duties.
The event provides an opportunity for stock taking as the Commander 213 operating base announces that from January 2025 to date, a critical mass of bandits and terrorists, including their top commanders and logistics suppliers, have been neutralized in the region.
The Nigerian Air Force, under the visionary leadership of Air Marshal Hassan Bala Abubakar, Distinguished Flying Star, has maintained the capacity and capability to conduct independent air operations to restore peace and stability in all parts of the Northwest and indeed the country at large. So I'm also delighted to note that the relentless efforts of the air component through agile and resilient employment of air power has resulted to unprecedented decimation of bandits as well as terrorists within the joint operations environment, especially from January of this year till date.
Beyond whining and dining, the event featured combat display by the Special Forces, as well as cultural dances of the major ethnic groups in Nigeria, in addition to the presentation of souvenirs to the special guests and various heads of sister security agencies in the state.
Now, in the spirit of Eid al-Fitr, and traditionally it's a season of the Durbar festivals held in most northern states of the country, with booming gunfire, vibrant gowns, horse parade, and blaring of trumpets adding color to the occasion. In Katsina State, Muslims celebrated Eid al-Fitr with a rich cultural showcase, fostering an environment conducive to new partnerships and investments. The event's guest list featured a notable presence of international dignitaries, including the European Union ambassador to Nigeria and several other ambassadors and their spouses.
The stage is set for the Katsina State Traditional Durbar Cultural Festival, popularly called Hawan Bariki. The event, which is celebrated twice in the year, attracts thousands of people from within and outside the state and the country at large. This year's celebration hosts several foreign diplomats and their spouses, with hopes of exploring possible investments and partnerships along the lines of the state's rich cultural heritage.
This has traditionally been a very good tradition, and our government is trying all it could to ensure that we have maintained that standard and we are able to promote it so that that will give happiness to our people.
The essence of the Durbar, which kicks off from the Katsina Emir's house and terminates at the Katsina Old Government House, is to pay Salah homage to the governor. Besides the richly attired Emir, hunters and traditional security guards and musicians show off their skills. Historians trace the beginning of the long tradition to more than 11 decades ago during the reign of the Emir of Katsina, King Muhammadu Diko.
And the Durbar celebration is part of the culture of the Hausa land, and it's part of one of the things that we do. We go to the mosque, that's on Salah Day, and then the day after we come to the government house for this visit. So it's very, very significant. It marks a part of our culture, a part of our history, a part of what we are.
And for the indigenes, the celebration is a dual-purpose occasion aimed at not only promoting peace and unity among the people, but also to boosting the economy.
You see, these festivities traditionally are meant to boost our economy, infuse cultural diversity and what have you. Go to Brazil, go to countries, Canada, and even the US now is trying to imbibe it. They do this in order to show people their cultural heritage. And when tourists come, even the person selling pure water will make money. It will boost our economy.
Foreign dignitaries in attendance share their impressions about the traditional Durbar festival and the rich cultural heritage of Katsina State.
Very, very impressive, beautiful. It's nice to see a different culture that I have seen before.
This is my 6th time in Katsina, my 2nd time during Durbar, and I'm very happy that many of my colleagues joined me here in Katsina to witness the Durbar, the rich cultural heritage of Katsina, to see the prosperity that the governor has brought to Katsina, and to enjoy this generosity and the unique hospitality of the Katsina state.
Residents are therefore encouraged to continue to embody the virtues of patience, compassion, and self-discipline cultivated during the holy month of Ramadan.
Meanwhile, in Zamfara, Governor Dauda Lawal has reaffirmed his administration's commitment to preserving the rich cultural heritage of the state. He made a declaration at the recently revived Gusau Emirate Durbar celebration, which had been suspended for years.
The Salah Durbar celebration makes a grand return to Gusau, Zamfara state after many years, drawing large crowds and dignitaries hosted by the governor, Dauda Lawal, and other government officials. It marks by colorful displays by horsemen, local hunters and drummers, showcasing the rich cultural heritage of the state. Governor Lawal is excited about the successful revival of the Durbar, which he describes as the first of its kind.
I can't express how happy I am seeing how people are happy. Everybody came out to celebrate our culture. This is really great. This is the first time of its kind, and I can assure you next time it will be much, much better than what we've seen today.
He gives assurances that next year's celebration will be even more elaborate.
From what you've seen, you can see how happy everybody is. I mean, that should tell you that good things are coming to Zamfara State. The insecurity situation is going very, very down, and will continue to fight insurgency by the grace of Allah so that our people can sleep very well, and business activities will prosper in Zamfara State.
Now that it's back, the Emir of Gusau, Alhaji Ibrahim Bello, emphasizes the importance of sustaining the Durbar festival.
A lot of people are happy, and from there we are going to build on. And it is not only going to be this emirate, but all other emirates would like to emulate what we have done. So I wish to assure you that we are ready and we are making preparations for further advancement.
The return of the festival is seen as a major milestone in reviving cultural traditions in Zamfara state, fostering unity and boosting tourism.
And more from the traditional Durbar festivals, and this time in Bauchi State, as the government is calling on traditional rulers to play a crucial role in maintaining law and order within their communities, especially in the light of rising security concerns. Amidst increasing reports of kidnapping and banditry, the Deputy Governor of Bauchi State at this year's event by the Bauchi Emirate emphasized the need for vigilance to complement government's efforts. Our correspondent Hajira Aliyu reports.
The Eid al-Fitr celebration in Bauchi State is never complete without the traditional homage to the governor, known as Hawandoshi. The event begins with the arrival of the Emir of Bauchi at the government house. Before the procession commences, speeches are delivered. The Emir calls for unity, peace, tolerance, and mutual respect among the various ethnic and religious groups.
Let's strengthen our unity and be a good example to the world. Let's pray and seek God's guidance and protection from all evil plans.
On his part, the governor of Bauchi State, represented by his deputy, seeks the support of the traditional institution to help secure the state.
There have a recent been report of kidnapping number 3 in Bula district along our border with the Plateau state. While government is collaborating with the security agencies to address this and other security challenges across the state, I would like to appeal to our traditional rulers to prevail on their people to be extra vigilant and report suspicious movements or persons to the security agencies.
Following the speeches, the attendees sit back to watch the procession. One horse procession follows another as the executive arm receives greetings from the traditional institution. This year, over 60 traditional title holders and district heads are taking part in the event. The people continue to uphold their cultural heritage, preserving the century-old tradition of the Bauchi Emirates. Each procession, along with the costumes and accessories, carries historical and cultural significance. This year's event prominently features women and children. Finally, the Emir of Bauchi rises and proceeds with his procession. His entourage stands out, including camels, a royal cage, an umbrella, royal horses, princes, his lieutenants, drummers, and trumpets, all producing unique sounds befitting of royalty. Uniquely, he rode in his vehicle to mark the occasion as he pays his homage to the governor. Hajara Aliyu, Channels Television News.
Now, still ahead on the news at 10, Nigeria's central bank records strongest net foreign reserves in over 3 years as it reaches $23.1 billion. That's some business news. So join us again.
Welcome back to the news at 10. In Enugu State, Governor Peter Mbah has called on the people of Otuku community to monitor and report activities of healthcare officers at the newly built Type 2 primary healthcare centers in the community if it falls short of approved standards. He was speaking when he visited the community to supervise and interact with the people on the importance of health and well-being.
It's the first supervisory visit of Governor Peter Mbah to the Otuku Emene community in Enugu East local government area. And the intention is to interact with healthcare workers and residents on the needs, challenges, and importance of healthcare. In his tour of the facility, he engages with the health professionals and patients. He also stops by the maternal ward to celebrate with the family on the arrival of their newborn. Inside the hospital, community members wait patiently for the program to begin. The health officials describe the interventions in the primary health subsector as radical and life-saving.
To further fortify our Safe Motherhood initiative, we have partnered with the Nigerian Medical Association to introduce an AI-driven obstetric ultrasound scan, as we will soon see. In the first month of this novel initiative, we scanned 148 pregnant women free, and we have been able to save at least 18 children or mothers from adverse outcomes.
WHO, as the guardian of public health and global health, under the leadership of our country representative, Dr. Molumbo, is committed to deepening and sustaining our technical support to the Ministry of Health, to the Agency for Primary Health Care, and to the Agency for Universal Health Coverage. And together, we will be able to achieve that dream you have for the people of Enugu State.
For the governor, beyond building and equipping the center, residents must be committed to holding health professionals accountable to ensure standard services.
We have a number of ways you can reach out to the government. We have a whistleblower contact where you can call and somebody, your identity will be preserved and would get the information you need to pass on to government. It is important to hold the people working here to account and of course hold them to the standard that we want them to deliver.
The Enugu state government is also committed to build more facilities in the area to ensure full access to healthcare services, even as revamping of 22 cottages and general hospitals at the secondary level and a world-class international hospital at the tertiary level are ongoing.
We're in Anambra State now. Governor Chukwuma Soludo has received the Hungarian delegation, comprising the Secretary of State of the Foreign Ministry, Mr. Tristan Azbej, the Ambassador, Mr. Laurent Ndrefi, and a team from the European Parliament at the Old Governor's Lodge in Amobia. The Hungarian Secretary of State disclosed that their visit is to commission the facility at the College of Nursing in St. Charles Borromeo Specialist Hospital, Onitsha, after a donation of over $1 million to the Catholic Archdiocese of Onitsha a few years ago.
The delegation from Hungary, the European Parliament, and some clergymen from the Onitsha Archdiocese gather at the Old Governor's Lodge, Amobia. The governor, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, is elated to receive these August visitors, especially regarding their mission, which is all about charity and supporting the people of Anambra State.
A few years ago, we went to Hungary and complained to them, to our sister here, Dr. Reka Foro, of our challenges we used to have at the College of Nursing, Borromeo Specialist Hospital. And they told us we shall look into it. That is exactly what the governor normally does us when we make any requests. And a few months, they told us, write a project. And we wrote a project. And they gave us over $1 million for that.
On behalf of the Hungarian government, I am very proud that to complement their efforts and their charity, the Hungarian government has provided more than $1 million donation to support healthcare, to support education, to support an orphanage home taking care of the most vulnerable children. I'm only been in Onitsha for 40 minutes now. And the first, after your very warm and overwhelmingly friendly reception, the first thing that I saw is a big billboard that says that Anambra is rising.
The governor briefed them about the free education in all primary and post-primary schools, which has made Anambra the state with the lowest out-of-school children, noting that there is an alignment of interest between both parties in the health and education sectors.
Here in Anambra, call ourselves the A state, winning laurels all over, and our vision is to create that enabling environment that these kinds of institutions will not only continue to work but excel, and that the people trained in this college Anambra and Nigeria, but for the world.
The facility at the Old College of Nursing in St. Charles Borromeo Specialist Hospital, Onitsha, will serve the health needs of thousands of people in Onitsha and its environment.
As Nigerians mark the end of Eid al-Fitr, well, shopping for essentials has been anything but easy. Well, prices have fluctuated across markets, leaving shoppers and traders to adjust to a shifting economy. Our business correspondent, Will Ibong, visited the Tejo Show Market in Lagos to see how Nigerians are shopping during the celebrations.
Eid al-Fitr is upon us, and while the festive spirit is in the air, the markets are unusually quiet due to the public holiday. Shoppers are also feeling the pinch of rising prices on essentials, from food items to clothing. Let's delve into the popular Tejo Show Market and environs in Lagos and see how these factors are shaping this year's celebrations. Food forms the cornerstones of celebrations, yet this year it's also a source of concern. Food prices have seen significant fluctuations recently.
So right now, as of last year, we were selling a rate of 100 plus. But as of right now, as I'm saying, at least you can get a long grade at 85. Then the small grain right now, as I'm saying right now, the small grain right now is at the market. We bought it at the rate of 65, then we sold at the rate of 70,000.
Just normal ground oil, the refill one, not all this branded one, but the normal oil we used to cook. So, and it's coming down though. I think before we normally get it for 1,500, but now it's 1,250. It means that things are going down, so it's fine.
Before now, we used to buy this kind of pepper like 3 for 500 naira. Right now, this plate on its own is 500 naira. And I've been coming here, coming to price if it can go down, but no, she said it's 500 naira. So things are not going down at all.
For many, Eid isn't complete without a steaming pot of jollof rice and suya, but the cost of meat is making people rethink their menu. Butchers say the price of beef has surged by nearly 30% in the past 6 months.
This meat where they sell now 1.2 million. Because markets, every day they go up. As well as our market meat, it will cost. This one, the way they say now, I buy one, I buy 300,000 naira.
Eid is also about looking your best. But this year, fashion is competing with food for the most expensive item on the list. Fabric prices have surged by about 40% in the last year due to rising import costs and currency fluctuations.
See this cloth now, we used to buy it 450 per yard, and we use 3 years and so on. So we are selling it before 3,000 naira, but now per yard is 1,500 per yard, and we are selling it 5,000, and nobody agreed to buy it because of the things is very cost.
Dollar is not helping us. So why will we buy something from other countries like China now, buy something for 2,000 and sell for 1,500 or sell for 2,000? It's not possible. There's no gain in this clothes anymore.
Even those selling second-hand clothing are not left out.
But before, Okreka is something you can pack plenty of number, then price it anyhow you buy. But this one, we don't see anybody.
Whether it's rice, clothes, or meat, one thing is certain, this year's Eid shopping is stretching wallets. But despite the price hikes in certain commodities, one thing we do know is that the spirit of the celebration is still very present. Families will still gather, prayers will still be said, and the celebrations will go on. Will Ibang signing out for Channels Television News.
Well, certainly indeed, Will Ibong is right here, and let's hand over to her for more on the world of business. Will.
Thank you, Ayatunde. And the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has reported its strongest net foreign exchange reserves in over 3 years, reaching $23.1 billion by the end of 2024. And this significant increase from $3.99 billion in 2023, and it reflects improved external liquidity and reduced short-term obligations. The rise in reserves is due to strategic measures by the CBN, such as reducing FX liabilities and enhancing investor confidence. Gross external reserves also grew to $40.19 billion, up from $33.2 billion in 2023, strengthening the country's ability to manage external financial pressures. The CBN expects reserves to continue growing, supported by higher oil production and improved non-oil export earnings. The bank is committed to policies that ensure long-term stability and maintain a stable exchange rate. And the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, CPPE, has raised concerns over the government's proposal to ban solar panel imports, warning that it could worsen Nigeria's energy crisis by making solar solutions more expensive and less accessible. While the CPPE supports the goal of increasing domestic production, they advocate for a gradual transition with careful planning and studies on local production capacity to avoid disruptions. The CPPE recommends fiscal incentives for solar panel manufacturers, a reduction in import duties on essential components, and clarification from the government to reassure investors in the renewable energy sector. Let's check in on what the Securities and Exchange Commission is expecting after the recently signed Investment and Securities Act 2025, which will enhance digital asset environment, including cryptocurrencies, which has become a popular investment choice. The SEC Director General, Mr. Emomotimi Agama, commended the new law on our Business Morning program, highlighting its key reforms aimed at promoting integrity, transparency, and sustainable growth in Nigeria's capital markets.
One of the greatest challenge of our exit from the FATF grey list is the non-availability of a regulation or a law that specifically speaks to the regulation of crypto assets or digital assets. And that has been provided, which is a green light towards our exit from the grey list. And with that, of course, what will come with it is the influx of foreign investors into the Nigerian market. Besides, it is also going to provide some level of clarity and confidence to investors who intend to play in that space. And that is very, very critical for the growth of the Nigerian capital market, providing avenues and other asset classes that will excite Nigerians, particularly the youths in Nigeria, and making sure that Nigeria becomes a place of reckon in terms of the regulation of crypto assets, digital assets, and all other innovative products that will bring succor to Nigerians in wealth redistribution.
While we celebrate the signing of that law, Nigeria's stock market is still closed for the Eid holiday. Meanwhile, markets in Europe closed high on Tuesday, rebounding as global investors braced for U.S. President Donald Trump's trade tariffs set to come into effect Wednesday. Let's take a look at their numbers and those of other major equities around the world. And that's a wrap on business. It's back to Ayotunde for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Will. The world awaits U.S. President Donald Trump's announcement of tariffs on April the 2nd. Now, according to White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, President Trump is with his trade team perfecting the final details. She also says countries are contacting the White House for last-minute negotiations, and the president is open to taking calls. Here's Simon Hughes with more international news in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5.
Myanmar has observed 1 minute of silence to mourn those who died from last week's magnitude 7.7 earthquake that killed more than 2,000 people. Friday's earthquake was felt in neighbouring countries like Thailand, hundreds of miles away, where the death toll stands at 20. The military junta now says at least 2,000 people have been killed and announced a week of mourning. Rescuers in both countries are still searching for survivors, though hopes are fading fast. The UN says the earthquake has compounded an already dire crisis in Myanmar, which is in the midst of a 4-year civil war.
It's not enough to get immediate relief. One has to, because that is life-saving. But simultaneously, you've got to look at how recovery can start right away, because this is just devastating. It's 2,000 plus death toll. But now we're getting reports from our teams on the ground that if you look at Sagaing town, about 80% of it is destroyed.
An Israeli airstrike on Beirut's southern suburbs has killed at least 3 people, Lebanon's health ministry says, putting further pressure on a fragile ceasefire between Israel and the Lebanese armed group Hezbollah. The attack was the second on the area known as Da'iya, where Hezbollah has a strong presence in recent days, despite the truce that came into force in November. The Israeli military said it had targeted a Hezbollah operative who had helped Hamas. Vladimir Putin is reportedly calling up more citizens to strengthen Russia's military. According to the Russian news agency Interfax, Mr. Putin has ordered a further 160,000 Russian men between the ages of 18 and 30 to be called up, with the new order to be completed by July. That number marks an increase from previous military drafts, with 150,000 called up last year and 134,000 in 2022. A national protest meant to pressure Zimbabwean President Emerson Mnangagwa to resign turned into a shutdown as citizens opted to stay away rather than take to the streets amid a heavy security presence. Only a handful of protesters took part in the planned march, spearheaded by a group of disgruntled war veterans who have accused Mnangagwa of corruption and wanting to cling on to power. Following the reports of a low turnout, protest leader Blessed Gazer urged Zimbabweans not to be cowards in a post on X. A Cornell University graduate student who had his US visa revoked due to protest activities against Israel has chosen to leave the US rather than be deported. Momodo Tal, who is a joint citizen of the UK and Gambia, had his student visa revoked due to his on-campus protest activities last year as the Israeli-Gaza war raged on. Mr. Tal previously sued to block his deportation, but on Monday posted on X that he had chosen to leave the country free and with my head held high. At least 73 million people are under threat of severe weather as storms hit the central United States. Here, trees being pulled down by winds in a garden in Michigan. The National Weather Service Prediction Center warned of enhanced risk of possible tornadoes, large hail and downpours of rain. In Michigan, more than 300,000 power outages were reported, while 100,000 were reported for Wisconsin and Indiana. Storms are expected to continue in various states through Thursday. And a major incident has been declared by Birmingham City Council in the UK over the ongoing bin strike, which has left 17,000 tonnes of waste on the streets. Its declaration means the council can increase its street cleaning operation and fly tipping removal by bringing in an extra 35 vehicle and crews. Unite Union members have been on all-out strike since the 11th of March in a row over pay. Residents in many areas of the city say they have had enough of seeing mountains of rubbish piling up.
Well, look, there are lots of bins out because, you know, one of the advice from the council is leave your bins out if they haven't been collected, and that means there's lots of blockages on many of the footpaths. I've seen bags that have been ripped open by the foxes overnight with rubbish out on the streets, into the road.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thanks, Simon, and welcome to Sports News. We begin with the Nigeria Women Football League Premiership, where 8 games will be decided in match day 10 across the country on Wednesday, April 2nd. In Group A, the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium will play host to the clash between the League leaders Edo Queens and Hadland Queens. At the Lagos Salami Stadium, Ekiti Queens will face Remo Stars ladies, while Dana's ladies will travel to the Ayimba City Stadium, where they will face Confluence Queens. In Group B, Rivers Angels will be at home in Port Harcourt against Nigeria Tels. Adamawa Queens will also play host to FC Rebel Queens at their adopted home ground, the Pantami Stadium in Gombe. Benue Queens will be up against Delta Queens, and Bayelsa Queens will take on Ibom Angels in other Group B fixtures. But these are desperate times indeed for Manchester City, with their manager Pep Guardiola confirming that striker Erling Haaland will be out of action for up to 7 weeks after suffering an ankle injury. The prolific 24-year-old Norwegian was forced off in Sunday's 2-1 FA Cup quarter-final win at Bournemouth after scoring his 30th goal of the season. City have 9 games left in the Premier League this season, plus an FA Cup semi-final against Nottingham Forest towards the end of this month.
There are years that these kind of things happen all season, so I would say that could not be differently at the end of the season. So yeah, but all the injuries that we had this season, so sorry for them and for Erling as well. So and could recover speedy as quick as possible and come back. No, they told me, the doctors, between 5 and 7 weeks. So hopefully the end of the season and a World Cup be ready. His skills or his specific qualities, we know that, but we have to adapt. And since many years we play for different ways up front. It depends on the quality of the players. So we're going to try to find a solution.
Well, the EPL is back after a 2-week international break, and Bukayo Saka marked his return from a lengthy injury absence with a goal as Arsenal beat Fulham 2-1 this evening to cut the gap on Premier League leaders Liverpool to 9 points. Saka came off the bench to head in on his first appearance since December 21st after Mikel Merino's deflected effort had given the Gunners a first-half lead. Jurgen Strand last made it 3 goals in 2 games as Wolverhampton Wanderers beat West Ham United to move further away from the relegation zone. With our sports, I'm Kelly. He's back to Ayotunde.
And the main news again. The senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, today defied a ban by the Kogi state government on public gatherings as she held Salah celebrations with her supporters. In a swift reaction, the Kogi state government accused the senator of breaking state laws and describes claims of plans to eliminate her as baseless allegations. And that's the news at 10. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun from everyone here. You have a good night.